Welcome, everybody. Today, we're going to be talking about how you can stop being in that survival mode or even in a coasting mode and actually start thriving in life, especially this time of year. I love this time of year. I love the holidays. So I want to talk about how you can actually reclaim your energy before the holidays hit, because right now you might be like a lot of the people that we work with, the parents, the entrepreneurs, the people who are working away in their 9-to-5s. You might be telling yourself the same lie that we tell ourselves every single year, right? It sounds something like this, like, okay, I'll rest when I've got the time off at the holidays. I'll rest after everyone's done, after everyone's gone after the holidays or whatever it is. But here's what I've learned the hard way, and I've seen a lot of people fall into this trap. Like, if you go into the holidays already running on empty, it makes it really hard to survive them. You lose a piece of yourself in the process. You have breakdowns, you have the overwhelm, you have the stress and anxiety and all the things that come with that. Now, I know this personally because I've been there. I've done it to myself. I spent years in that same sort of a cycle, in that kind of the survival mode where I was burnt out, I was anxious, just trying to keep my head above water. And then like I'd start to slide into like the maybe the coast mode, right? Where I was just coasting along. And that's more of that numb autopilot that you feel when you're going, like you're doing enough, right? You're checking the boxes, you're going through life, you've gone through the functions, but you're not doing enough to feel alive or energized. And every time we get to the holidays in November and December, like I would promise myself, like this year it's going to be different. I'm going to show up differently, but it never happened. I'd show up into gatherings, physically there, but like I was checked out emotionally, mentally, everything along those lines. Like I'd start to go into that performance mode that a lot of us go into, that I'm sure you felt, like the performing my way through all the shoulds, the dinners, the gifts, the expectations, and quietly I was resenting every minute of it. And then the truth hit me like crazy one year. I mean, think of it like it hit me like the train going around the Christmas tree. Like freight train hit me. Like the exhaustion wasn't from like all the to-do lists or all the things or people coming into town, all that. Like it was truthfully from my own misalignment. Like I was giving from this obligation instead of from my natural gifts and superpowers, the things that actually energized me. And that realization changed everything for me. And so we want to unpack that for you today. So we're going to dive deep into it here in a moment of what it looks like for parents and entrepreneurs and individuals. At the same time, like I'm then going to roll through 6 very specific things you could go do. And I've got this really cool survival mode assessment that you can go do, where there's a link in the description. In a moment, you'll be able to pause the video, go take it, so you can run through the exercises that are at the end of this video. All right, so let's have an honest check-in with each other. Let's be real for a second. Like, let me ask you if this is something that like resonates with you, or if it sounds familiar, if it hits home. Maybe you're the parent who you're heading into the holidays, you're already running on fumes, you're trying to create the magic for your family while secretly like you're dreading the obligations that are on the calendar. Like we want to make memories, right? But like, man, it's hard to do that when our energy tank is on empty. Or maybe you're an entrepreneur who's been trying to finish the year strong, but you're stretched so thin you can't like fully be present at work and home. And so you show up to family gatherings, maybe late or maybe physically, but mentally you're still checked into Slack or replaying the sales numbers or that last conversation you had. Or maybe you're an employee who's been just grinding away all year, and now instead of feeling excited about this season, like you just feel tired. You're going through the motions, like smiling as like you have to, but like deep down, you can't remember the last time that you genuinely felt alive. And so if any of that hits home for you, if you connects with you, like I get it because I lived it. And here's the thing, there's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing broken or lazy or bad, nothing, like it's not like you're bad with your time or that you're ungrateful for what you have. You're just misaligned. Like you're like that exhaustion you have isn't from doing too much. It's from like doing too much of what drains you and not enough what is authentically you. So there's like 3 modes you can be in. There's this survival mode, which is giving from the empty tank that so many people we work with, parents, entrepreneurs, people working away who are burnt out, exhausted, overwhelmed, frustrated, have anxieties, things like that. They're functioning from that survival mode. Or maybe coasting. So coasting mode's scary because that's that silent drain where you're functioning but you're disconnected. It's when you wake up, you're like, man, is this all there is? Like you feel like you could be doing more, but you're not. And then there's thriving. And that's when you're living from your gifts and superpowers, giving from the place that only you can give. So let me tell you, you are the only person with your combination of gifts, superpowers, and experiences, which means you are the only person who can make the impact that you can make in people's lives right now. And they're waiting for it, especially as we get closer to the holiday season. So start making a change today. And so that's what we're going to be diving into. That's what we're going to be doing. Now, I like to usually say at the beginning of the video, totally forgot to, if you're new here, welcome to the Giver Method channel. My name is Jake Talbert. If you're back, welcome back for another video. Now, I'm the founder and author of this book called The Giver Method. Everything we're talking about today is grounded in principles from this book, okay? I'll put a link in the description where you can go get a copy. Right now it's on sale on Amazon for, I think it's $2 to $10. It's on sale. based on which version you get. So maybe you need to pause the video, go down, go get yourself a copy, or maybe order a copy for someone else, because the things you put in place today from this book, the exercise actions, the things that are meant for parents, entrepreneurs, the people who are working in that corporate world, because I've been there. I've walked the same path as you. So everything in here is designed that you can implement it as a part of your daily life without adding more to your plate. I know that you can't burn everything down and start from scratch. So everything in here and everything we're going to talk about today is stuff that you can just start doing today, right where you are in the messy middle. So go get yourself a copy, okay? Like today, in this video, naturally, like what we're talking about is how you go from, you stop just being in survival mode or coasting and start thriving, especially before the holidays are in full speed. So what we're gonna really dive deep into is let's diagnose where you actually are. Are you surviving? Are you coasting? Are you thriving? You might be surprised where you actually fall. We're gonna restructure. Let's look at our commitments that we have around our natural gifts, our superpowers, instead of just the obligations that drain you. And let's build some daily and weekly rhythms that actually restore your energy. Now, once again, I don't want to add more to your plate or give you another holiday checklist. I'm here to help realign you with who you actually are and show you how to be energized as a part of that. So, but before we go any further, here's what I want you to do. I'm going to ask you to pause the video here in a moment. So there's a link. The link in the description has the survival mode assessment. Okay, you're going to want to go do that. You're going to want to pause this video, open that in another window, and go. It takes 3 minutes to fill out. And it's going to tell you exactly where you are right now. What is your primary area to focus on? Are you surviving? Are you coasting? Are you thriving? Trust me, the clarity will make everything else in this video 10 times more effective. You'll get tons of value if you just stick around watching. But go take the assessment, and then at the end of the assessment, based off what your scores are, it gives you personalized ideas of things that you could go do outside of what I'm going to cover here in the video. So you could take what's in the video, be way more impactful with the assessment, and then of course the things that I give you as a part of the post-assessment follow-up, they give you tons of data. So if you need to, let's pause for a second so you can go fill that out. So let's pause right, 3, 2, 1, pause. It's really just me sitting here. And unpause. Okay. So welcome back. Now that you've have what your score is, what your area is, let's get into how you can actually reclaim your energy before the holidays. Once again, if you want to dive deeper into this stuff, then that's where go down into the description, go get a copy of the Giver Method off Amazon. You can pause the video, go to Amazon, get a copy right now. You can also go follow us on all the social media channels, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, under the handle of the Giver Method, or check out thegivermethod.com where we have the survival mode assessment. We've got other free resources, opt-ins, our newsletter, ways that we help people, stuff like that. The link's down below. If you are looking for maybe one-on-one support. Some people want a one-on-one coach, a guide, someone to walk them through this type of stuff. If so, check out the one-on-one coaching link down below. And then if you lead a team or have a podcast, an event, you host some sort of a stage of some kind that this message would resonate with them, then let's talk about how we bring it to them in a very real way. So with that, let's just make sure that if you haven't already, do the YouTube-y things, hit subscribe, ring that bell for notifications, drop a comment on anything that lands for you. Because today, we're not just talking about getting through the holidays. We're talking about transforming how you show up in them and have some of the best holidays ever and the best 2026 that you could ever have. So let's dive in. The first one that I want to focus on, okay, is the survival mode check. All right, we got to get real with where you actually are, because you can't fix what you can't face. So the first step to getting your energy back before the holidays is getting honest about what state, what mode are you in right now? Most people think they're just maybe, oh, I'm just tired or I'm at exhaustion, but tired isn't really a diagnosis or anything. It's not it's just a signal. So it's a warning sign, an indicator. And it's usually pointing towards misalignment, not just busyness. And so the difference between surviving, coasting, thriving, let's talk about what those are and how they show up. Survival mode is where your brain gets into this fight or flight mode, the grind. You may not call it fight or flight, but that's what it is. The grind where everything feels urgent. Every day is an endurance test that you're just, trying to make it to bedtime without breaking. You're not living, you're just managing. That's survival mode. Now the tricky one is coasting, that coasting mode, because that's the quiet, the numb version of exhaustion where you're functioning and showing up and I'm checking the boxes, but you're not feeling aligned. You're not feeling, connected to anything. You tell yourself inside you're fine, but there's nothing, you're not really on fire, but you're drifting away from who you are. And then when the pressure of the holiday hits, that's usually where coasting starts to crash and you go into full-blown survival before you can realize it. And so that's exactly why I created the survival mode assessment, that 3-minute thing that just gives you clarity most people never get. It measures your physical fatigue, your emotional disconnection, like your value alignment. And then it tells you like where you really are, surviving, coasting, or thriving, and then what you can go do about it. So if you haven't already, hit pause right now and go take the assessment. The link is in the description. It takes less than 3 minutes. And I'm telling you, like, knowing your true state makes the rest of this video so much more powerful. And when you get the results, slow down and actually read them. You're going to show you like, okay, well, let's look at what's draining you. Whether it's physical, like you're overextended, it's emotional, or value-based, like what is it, like that misalignment. That clarity is gold because it points you right to what you need to go fix. And then after you do that, like maybe some little bit of reflection, an exercise you could do is like, you want to finish this sort of a sentence, like, hey, I've been telling myself I'm just tired, but the truth is that I'm in blank mode, whatever that is, because of blank. Like, so here's what that could sound like. Hey, I'm in coasting mode because I've been emotionally checked out at work and at home for months. Or, hey, I'm in survival mode. Like, I can see that, and I'm in that because I've been emotionally checked out, or I'm in survival mode because I've been saying yes to everyone else and ignoring what I actually need. Gosh, naming it, honestly, it breaks the autopilot cycle, because like, as long as you keep calling it just tired or whatever thing you're calling it, you're just going to keep trying to fix the rest, or a productivity hack, a time management thing, when what you actually need is alignment. And then finally, like, you want to share your results with one person you trust. Tell them like, hey, I took this assessment. Here's what it told me. Here's where I'm being drained. Ask them to maybe check in with you in a couple weeks. Like, accountability turns awareness into change. It makes sure it doesn't just become another like good video you watched or this thing you took. Like, it helps you actually put those into motion, because you can't solve exhaustion. You refuse to define what it is. And most people live in that coasting mode, like they think they're just a little burnt out, when in reality they're completely misaligned and pouring energy into the wrong places. Once again, the assessment ends like this guessing game. It gives you what you need. Once you know where you're going, you can finally stop trying to push through and start addressing what's actually happening in front of you. 3 minutes, that's all it takes. Like, one honest look in the mirror and how you stop surviving and start aligning and actually feel alive again this holiday season. And that takes us into the second area. So if you haven't already, pause the video, go do that. Do the assessment, maybe share it with someone else who needs it. So the second principle area is like, there's then this holiday reset. How do we restructure the season around what actually is going to energize us? I mean, because that feeling when the holidays roll around, like, instead of feeling excited, they just feel heavy and draining. Like, you're carrying this mental list of the shoulds, like I gotta host the dinner. Well, we should do that dinner. We should have this event. We should go to that event. We should buy these gifts, because then we're good parents or good friends or whatever. Like, and then you wonder why the holidays feel like you're in performance instead of actually just enjoying the moment. And the truth is, most of us aren't burnt out from doing too much. We're burnt out from doing too much of what drains us and too little of what actually lights us up. And so that's why I want you to focus on this exercise where it's the start, stop, continue, but in a holiday reset. Okay, it's a quick but powerful way for you to realign your energy before like the season starts. Not by doing more, but by giving yourself permission to do it differently. And so what I want you to grab a piece of paper. You're going to create 3 columns. The top of column 1 is going to be stop. The middle column is going to be start. And the third column is going to be continue. Really hard to do so far, right? So then what you're going to do is, like, first we're going to focus on the stop column. So this is where you want to be brutally honest. What are you doing purely out of obligation? The stuff that makes you dread the holidays instead of looking forward to them. Write down 2 or 3 of them. Maybe it's hosting the big dinner that you secretly hate. Maybe it's decorating every room rather than doing anything else. Maybe it's saying yes to every invitation. Here's the key. You don't just list them. You give yourself permission to stop doing them, or not just do less. Like, not delegate, just stop. Like, these are things that I could possibly stop doing. This is a great exercise, not just for the holidays, but for your life in general. Next, that start column. Let's now flip it. Like, think of your natural gifts. Like, what are you really good at? What comes easy to you? What do people thank you for that you're just like, man, that was easy, right? Write down what those are. Those are your gifts and your superpowers. Write down maybe 1 or 2 of them, and like, let's think about the things that align with those gifts that you could do. If you're great at creating cozy atmospheres, maybe then you host a movie night instead of some big formal dinner. If your gift is encouragement, maybe you write heartfelt notes to people that you love instead of buying 30 gifts. Like, if you're organized, maybe you offer to help a friend plan the event instead of attending 3 of your own. Right? That is super simple things. Then there's the continue column where it's like, okay, well, these are the non-negotiables. There's 1 or 2 things that genuinely light you up and make you feel more like you. Maybe it's the morning coffee before the house wakes up. Maybe it's that family tradition that has always put a laugh, made you laugh, right? Like, protect those things fiercely. Those are your anchors. Now, that's where it gets interesting. Once you have your list, like, grab your stop column and write out a few simple boundary things. And we'll talk deeper about these boundaries that you're going to do so that you're not caught off guard. Like, man, I love hosting, but this year I'm going to keep it simple. I'm going to do what really matters because I love, to bring desserts rather than having to host the whole thing. And whatever, so then share this list with someone you trust, a spouse, a friend, someone to hold you accountable. Tell them what you're cutting, what you're starting, and what you're protecting. The holiday burnout, it doesn't come from the season. It comes from trying to live someone else's version, trying to be the Instagram reel model version of a holiday season. That's not what you are, right? You stop having to focus on the big dinners and just focus on something small like a cozy movie night. You skip the networking parties and choose just a meaningful conversation. You replace the generic gifts with maybe more heartfelt things. And here's the data that backs us all up. People who set the boundaries before the holidays, they always report that they are 40% less resentful and 50% more present with their families during that time of year. So here's your challenge. Eliminate 2 to 3 things that drain you. Double down on the 1 or 2 contributions that light you up and watch how quickly your energy comes back. Once again, it's not selfish, it's strategic, because if you honor how you're naturally wired, everything around you, you just show up as a better version of you, so everything becomes easier. That's how you turn the holidays from an endurance test to something that actually fills your tank again and you're excited for. And then the third thing, I already told you, we're going to talk about these boundaries. So this is the holiday boundary, the blueprint, where we're going to dive deeper into how you protect your energy before it's gone. So you're going to see some overlap from this one and the last one, right? Most people heading into the holidays don't have an energy problem. It really is a boundary problem. Because they say yes to everything and everyone and end up resentful and exhausted and wondering why they can't just enjoy the season. They we tell ourselves boundaries are maybe selfish, right? But they're not. They're a strategy. They're how you protect your energy that you need for the moments that matter the most. So the holiday, these holiday boundary blueprints, right, is about preparing yourself before the pressure hits. So it's 3 simple parts. Once again, there's your non-negotiables, your eliminates, and the scripts. You're going to look at the 1 or 2 things that you're protecting, right? And you're going to look at the things that you're eliminating, the things that officially giving yourself permission to say no to that we talked about from the last principle. And now there's the script, the exact words you're going to use, because that's when if someone's trying to pull you back into the pattern that you've already been in, you don't want to cave in that moment. You have to have something there. Most people don't fail at boundaries because they don't want them. They fail because they weren't ready when someone then pushed against it. Aunt Susan asks you why you're not hosting, or your boss expects the office party, or your friend, hey, I just need one more favor. And without a plan, you fold. So that's where the blueprint comes into play. So once again, let's review what this is. Step 1 is you're going to look back at your top 3. What are those non-negotiables, the anchors of how I'm going to be more present? If you haven't written them down yet, write them down. I will not miss my kids' bedtime routines. I'm going to protect my morning quiet time from 6 to 6:30. I'm only going to attend 1 social event per weekend. And be specific. Vague boundaries don't hold. Then go back to that elimination thing. What are the things we're cutting? I'm giving myself a permission slip to say no without guilt. The things that are on your plate that actually don't align with what you're trying to do. I'm not baking 12 batches of cookies this year. I'm skipping the company party. I'm not buying gifts for every extended family member. Whatever it is, write down 3 to 5 of those things that make it feel lighter. Now's the script time. This is where it gets real, because for every non-negotiable or elimination, you write down your exact response when someone challenges it. Try something like this, hey, I've been helping in the past, but this year I'm just keeping things simple so I can focus on my family. Hey, that sounds great, but I'm trying to protect my energy this season, so I can show up as best as possible. I hope you understand. Or hey, we're simplifying our holidays this year. We're not going to be doing blank activity, but I'd love to contribute whatever your gift aligned action is instead. Now the pro tip is you practice saying them out loud. And I know it might feel silly, but boundaries aren't built on theory, they're built on the reputation of it. And so when you've said it a few times, you'll sound more confident instead of defensive. And then share it with somebody. Once again, that accountability is so important. Your boundaries, they're not walls. They're the guardrails that keep you at your best during this time of year. Without them, you end up everywhere, exhausted, overcommitted, half present to the people that deserve your whole self. They need your whole self. And once again, there's tons of the data we talked about before, where it's the people who feel less resentful and more present just by doing these sort of things. So you don't wait until you're running on fumes to figure it out. You go through okay, well, these are the non-negotiables, these are what I'm eliminating, and here are my scripts. Your family doesn't need you at every event. They need you fully there at the ones that matter the most. And that takes us to the 4th area. So that's where we're going to talk about this energy deposit, starting your day by giving from your gifts. The people think, giving drains you, that's going to take things away, but that's not true. It's how you give that determines whether you're draining your tank or filling it up. When you give out of obligation, you're pouring from that empty tank. But when you give from your natural gifts and superpowers and the things that are just effortless to you, you actually generate more energy. And that's what this is all about. It's this energy deposit, like it's a daily ritual where it just takes 2 to 3 minutes each morning. It's how you start your day. Before you touch your phone, check your email, let the world go hijack your brain. You're just going to intentionally set your intentionality to use one of your gifts or superpowers in a really small way that expresses who you are. And you do that before the day demands you of what you think you should be, right? So you could start this tomorrow. Maybe if it's early enough, you could start this today. You set an alarm 5 minutes earlier. That's it, just 5 minutes. And before you check your phone, you dive into or you look at the to-do list. You just say well, what's the one small way I could use my natural gifts today, my superpowers? What's a way I could make an impact, right? And you think about what comes easy to you. Maybe it's encouragement or humor, problem solving, organizing, creating beauty, listening, teaching, hospitality. The list goes on and on. If you need more help with that, go get yourself a copy of the Giver Method. It helps you to discover what those gifts are. Then what you're going to do is you're going to choose one ridiculously small way that you can do that today. Once again, encouragement. Maybe it's I'm going to send one real text to somebody hey, I saw the way you handled that tough conversation. Reminding me how strong you are. If you're a problem solver, take 5 minutes to help someone untangle something. If you're creative, add a little magic to something ordinary. Maybe arrange breakfast in a way that feels warm. Add a personal touch to a note or message. If it's organization, then bring calm to one small area. Help your kid get their backpack in order, or clear one cluttered corner. The key is it's not about how big the action is. It's just about where it's coming from, and then consistently doing it. It has to be authentic to your wiring and done with zero expectation. And truthfully, the more that you start to think about how you could do it before the day starts pulling you away, put it on your calendar. That's what's going to make this thing even more powerful. So the next step is after you do it, pause for a few seconds and ask yourself, how do I feel now compared to 5 minutes ago? And if you track that for, let's say, a week, you're going to start to notice the patterns that your days, you do have more energy, right? You feel more patient, more grounded, more like yourself. The days that you skip it, it's going to feel maybe like the day is faster, or you're in reaction mode, or more fatigue. And this experiment is going to change things for you like crazy, because this practice proves something that people never realize. It's not, giving isn't what drains you, it's misaligned giving. And we give from truly who you are, energy will always expand. You start your day with this sort of a thing, okay, this is who I am, and here's how I'm going to show up, and here's how I can use my gift to help other people. 7 days, 7 tiny deposits, those 7 proofs that you're not exhausted from doing too much. You're exhausted from doing too little of what actually energizes you. So like I said, if it's early enough, start today. Start tomorrow if it's not. Don't start with your inbox, start with impact. That's how you go from surviving to thriving. Now, the next thing is there's the one intention setter. So principle 5 is this, okay, what's the one thing I'm going to be the most intentional about today? Choosing what actually matters. Because most people head to the holidays with this list of 20 things they have to do and zero clarity about which of them actually matter. And so they spread themselves thin across every event that there is. They just get too thin, So it's about okay, well, what's the one thing intention that flips this completely? Ask yourself this really powerful question. If I could only do one holiday activity with true joy and presence, what would it be? That's it. One. Not what should I prioritize. It's no, not what will look best. What's the thing that I want to show up fully for? That it would make the whole season feel more meaningful if I just did that one. For some, it might be Christmas morning with the kids. For others, it might be one dinner with friends, instead of 5 surface level gatherings. Maybe it's a quiet walk alone that grounds you, or volunteering, in a heartfelt way. Whatever it is, you just need to identify your one thing and protect it. Stop trying to perform the 20 obligations and start being extremely fully present in the one that counts. So before your schedule fills up, take a few minutes, take 5-10 minutes this week, put your phone away, no noise, and ask yourself, okay, if I could only do one holiday activity with true joy and presence, what would it be? And don't rush it. Write whatever comes to you, and then ask it again and see what surfaces. When you move past the shoulds, it becomes clear, especially if you write it out. The one thing this holiday season is my one thing this holiday season is this activity, whatever, and I'm going to protect it as much as I can. I'm going to show up fully present, and with energy reserved specifically for it. And then look at your calendar, and everything else on there is secondary. Is this commitment helping me show up better for the one thing, or is this draining me before I even get there? If it's draining you, maybe we need to cut it or delegate it or gracefully decline it, use the boundary script or whatever. You're not being selfish, you're protecting your energy. And the thing that people miss, that so many people miss, is they tell people, you have to tell people the one thing, the one thing you're involved in. Say hey, this moment right here, Like, this is the one I'm protecting. Like, if we tell people about it, like, this conversation does two things. Tell people what it is. It holds you accountable, but lets them know what matters. And when the moment arrives, protect it like it's sacred. No phone, no distractions, no performances, right? Just be there fully. Like, that's what you're going to remember. That's what's going to matter the most. And that takes us into the sixth area, the sixth and final principle, which is like, I call it joy rehearsal, which is training your brain to see what's good. Most people end their day replaying everything that went wrong. Most people end their day, their week, their whatever, their year, and they play out all the things that went wrong, right? The things that they didn't finish, the moments that they wish they'd handled better, the stuff waiting for them the next day. And without even realizing it, they train their brain to look for more of the same. So the joy rehearsal flips that. It's just 2-minute nightly ritual that retrains your nervous system to find the energy instead of the stress. Because here's the truth. Joy isn't something that happens when life finally calms down. It's something that your brain has to practice noticing. It's happening around you every single day. Every night before bed, if you just take a few minutes to replay the joy, like what are the joyful, one meaningful moment from your day, not the biggest accomplishment, not the perfect Instagram moment, not like, well, what's just one small instance where you felt connected and peaceful and alive? There's tons of data that shows that when you focus on that, you can rewire your brain so that at the end of your day, you're thinking of, you're not thinking about what's going wrong. Your brain is actually moving past the stress and everything. You remember what went right. You find the joy. And so start that tonight. Set a 2-minute reminder before bed. Like when it goes off, just pause and ask yourself, what was the one thing today where I felt present, connected, genuinely alive? Maybe it was your kids' laugh that when you weren't on your phone. Maybe it was the deep breath before the meeting that actually calmed you down. Maybe it was the warmth of your coffee, or a moment of laughter with your spouse. Well, whatever it is, replay that moment like a mini movie. Where were you? Well, what did you see? What did you hear? What did you feel? Who was there? Let yourself feel it again. Maybe write it down even, journal that thing out. Today's joyful moment was blank. And do that every night for the next 30 days. Man, you're going to end up with this list of 30 moments, these small moments that prove your season wasn't all stress and chaos. You see the evidence was happening all along. You just weren't noticing it. And the extra layer that's really powerful is you make it a family ritual. Maybe at dinner time or before bedtime, we go around and you share a personal, what was the joyful moment from your day? No venting, no complaints, just one thing that went good. Right? Track how you feel by the end of the week. Week by week, you're going to start to notice joy in real time. Not just when you sit down at the end of the day, you're just finding the moment, be oh my gosh, look at this moment. I love it. I'm experiencing it in every single way. Now, here's the truth. The holidays, they don't have to be another season that you just get through. They can be a season you actually show up for, energized and present and fully you. The kind of season that feels like connection again, not obligation, the one that creates real memories. So it starts simple, super simple. Pick one thing from today to put into motion. If you haven't already, take the survival mode assessment. If you have, it takes 3 minutes, and it would be the clear, it's the mirror, that most people never get, telling you if you're surviving or coasting or thriving and exactly what to focus on next. Or maybe your next step is to do the start, stop, continue reset. Finally giving yourself permission or energy deposit ritual, whatever that may look like, because this isn't about doing more. It's about realigning with who you actually are. It's about protecting your energy so you can show up for the people that matter the most to you, not the expectations that don't. Now, like I said at the beginning of the video, if you want to dive deeper into that, that's where you go get yourself a copy of the Giver Method. So the link to the assessment is in the description. The link to go get this on Amazon, where everything we're talking about is grounded in, it's down in the description as well. Like I said, right now it's on sale, so get yourself a copy. Get a copy for someone who needs it. Go check it out. Go follow us on the social medias under the handle of The Giver Method. Check out thegivermethod.com. So here's the thing, The Giver Method, it's going to walk you through exactly how to give from your natural gifts instead of obligation and really feel energized again. Go ahead and share the survival mode assessment with someone else who may need it, who needs that, to see where they're at in life. If you're ready for more personal one-on-one support, check out the one-on-one coaching link below. We'll get laser focused on your strengths and design a plan that fits for you in your real life. The link for that's down below. Of course, again, if you run a team, host a podcast, have an event, a community, a stage, whatever, where this message would resonate, let's talk about how we can bring it to them. There's a link for that down below. And then don't forget to do all the YouTube things, like the video, subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, and of course, comment something that landed for you today. Now, before you go, remember this. Your exhaustion isn't from a to-do list. It's from misalignment. The survival mode from the empty tank, right? The coasting mode, which is that silent drain, or the thriving. When you actually are aligned from where you give, you protect what matters and you rebuild your rhythms. You don't have to blow up your life or wait until January to feel different. Shift things now. One honest assessment, one small reset, one intentional boundary at a time. So take the 3-minute assessment. What are those strategic shifts you could make? do this for the next few weeks before the holidays get here in full swing. That's enough time for you to be going from running on fumes to showing up as a real, energized, present version of you, the one that your family actually wants around. You're not performing anymore. You're not surviving. You're truly thriving. This season is going to come whether you're ready or not. So take this assessment, make the shifts to reclaim your energy. Your family doesn't need the perfect version. They just want you, the full version of you, fully alive and fully present. It's time for that. Remember, you're the only person with your combination of gifts, superpowers, and experiences, and there are people waiting for you to make that impact in their lives. So hopefully there's things you could take away from this video. Check out the other videos on the channel. Hopefully we'll catch you in one of our future videos. Have a great rest of your day, and we look forward to seeing you in this amazing holiday season.